Gibson USA has a new color that I'm pretty pumped about. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I first saw these pop up, it's like, yeah, I need to bring one of these things in for review. It's green, so be prepared, but it's British racing green. Okay. For some reason, I was expecting it to be like a darker green metallic flake, but this is very fine. I would almost call it a silver base coat with a little bit of green. Now, if you're familiar with how to actually paint this, you're probably like, well, duh, or something like that. But I'm just capturing my first impressions here. But then check it. It's a dark walnut back. That is just insane. We were just talking about the dark walnut Les Paul standards. I guess if you like that on the back, but wanted something a little flashier on the top, you might check one of these out. I mean, look at that side profile shot. Whoever thought this up at Gibson, fantastic job. I love this because, I mean, if you would have put all the silvery green everywhere, it might have been too much, but this gives you a little bit of the best of both worlds, I suppose you could say. So we've got the regular 50s and 60s Les Paul standard, and then the one we're talking about tonight, the P90 50s Les Paul standard. They're bringing it to so many new models. So what do you guys think? I like it. I hope you guys do too. The reason I chose the P90 version is because ever since this thing was introduced in 2019, it's a great model. You don't get P90s on a Les Paul every single day, but this particular one was just so barren in color options. Before this green one came out, we had the gold one since 2019. And then we were excited when a couple of years ago they brought out a tobacco sunburst. And then there was also just a straight up jet black ebony top and back. And that's all we had. This is the freshest finish we've had on one of these. It's super non-traditional because in order to get this previously, you'd have to go to the custom shop. In fact, they even have a 57 Custom Select Series R7, but that's going to run you $6,300 brand new. But these new British Racing Greens are labeled within the plain top category, so they're $2,600 brand new. And it's coming with all the usual flair, including a hard shell case, red interior, brown exterior, nothing special, but hey, I will never complain about getting a case with a guitar. And inside our case compartment, we get our strap, polishing cloth, blank truss rod cover, case keys, silica packet, pre-packed checklist, and warranty information. You got your Gibson multi-tool in my hand. And for historical preservation, here's what the original box tag looks like. So in a world filled with 50s and 60s Les Paul standards, between your dealer exclusives, the .com exclusives, flame tops, plain tops, hog tops, it's nice that the P90 got a little bit of extra love here too. So to learn more about this one, let's go ahead and throw it onto the workbench to take an individual look at parts and specs. We'll have to see if this one is redemption for the P90 Les Paul after that Noel Gallagher release. But your pickups are the exact same. Regular P90s, nothing special. Labeled Rhythm P90 in the neck, and a similar Lead P90 soap bar in the bridge. Both of them utilize black plastics underneath their cover, so feel free to use this shot as inspiration if you'd want to go for a chrome cover, black one. But no, hear me out, Mod Collection guys. Do one up like this. Triple P90, black, cream, chrome. You've got the parts. You could do it. Because to be honest, there's not enough triple P90 guitars in the world. But it looks like British Racing Green, their color code is just BT for that. British, maybe? But looking over here in the cavity, you can just barely see the maple top poke out right there. Otherwise, we can just see our solid mahogany body. Woo! That bridge pickup route looks way cleaner than on that Gallagher. They have a rather interesting shape in there. You can see the routed through area, but then we still have the maple top exposed. But look closely, they have slightly routed through it where they wrote down our combo code, standing for Les Paul Standard 50s P90 2025. That's definitely my favorite thing about these P90 standards on the inside, just being able to see both the maple top and the mahogany body coming together there. And these also utilize base plates. Same as true last time P90s utilized this. You could also put a mini humbucker in here. But before installing these again, here's a look at the inside of our cream covers. They've got the UC452B markings on each, which at this point, that's just for historical correctness, I would believe. Although technically, that could help you decide which way is technically up, even though it doesn't matter. If you've never installed a P90 before, The screws come in through the top here. That secures the cover to the pickup. And then those screws get 2 springs put underneath them. Sometimes it's a foam block. It's not always springs, but currently they're using these. And note that they're a cone shape. So it's wider on one end, thinner on the other. You want the thin part to be up against the pickup because that gives you more surface against the body. Now, if you install it backwards, is it a big deal? No, it does about the same thing. But that's how I noted this one installed from the factory. But those screws double as both the securing bits as well as the height adjustment for the pickup. I've always found it better to kind of rock it back and forth when you're installing it. Because if you go too far on just one screw, you can't always get the other one properly secured. The nice thing is, since the pickups themselves are magnetic, usually the springs stay in place as you're trying to get it reinstalled into the body. Although it can be a little tricky to get the screws back into the right location. They'll occasionally fight you. It also helps to hold the pickup down into the location that you're trying to get it to be. And once you have them installed, I usually set the height once I've got the strings back on. What do you guys think? Pick guard on, pick guard off? I think it looks good like this. I mean, it really shows off that belly carve quite nicely when you have the guard off over there. And the screw hole isn't that obvious, but here's what it looks like with it on and off. But the guard itself is nothing special, just cream, cut for P90s, and you get your regular felt pad on the bottom side of your bracket. And there we go. It is impressing into the top, pressing down. So you do have that small mark there too to be aware of if you wanted to be a pick guard Offian. I made a mental note on that last Gallagher P90 Les Paul. The reason why it didn't is its bracket was drilled about halfway within the binding, whereas this one's a bit lower. That's where you normally find it. So if you really hate this, just know sometimes you can find one that's not resting directly against the top. But now that we've got that sorted away, pickup readings within the circuit, 8.07 k ohms, neck position 7.92, and they play together at 4. And although not labeled as such on the 50s bonnet style knobs, it's still volume, tone, one for each pickup set. And you also have the thumb bleeders with them. But now, bridge and tailpiece time. Regular Gibson USA stuff here. You've got a bushing within the body, so not correct to a 50s styling. However, they do give you a 50s style ABR1 bridge marked as such on the back. So a little bit of vintage and modern with a lightweight aluminum tailpiece by API. I was trying to think what made them decide to go dark walnut on the edge, and then it dawned on me. Do you think it's the rosewood fretboard because this looks like rosewood, and then you come over here and you got the rosewood? It's just such a beautifully matching guitar. Both finishes are very dark though, but sometimes you can find a particularly light one. I will just take a second to appreciate this finish because I've been curious about what this looks like in the flesh, and I've got to say, I'm impressed. I mean, it's got a dark green to a light green thing going on. It really just depends on your lighting situation. It goes from dark to light, a lot of that silverness. There's maybe a tad bit of gold, but not a lot. It's just a nice metallic green. Pairs well with the cream. Because it's not like you can visit a dealer unless you're local to the Gibson garage anyways and see one of these. That's why my show exists. Helps you make informed decisions. So this should be a 2-piece maple top with a solid mahogany body. We've got a regular mahogany neck with rosewood fretboard, acrylic trapezoid inlays, regular 22 medium jumbo style frets. How are our tooling marks on this one? There's a little bit, but I don't see any like super gouges, just the typical fine lines. It looks like they might have slightly rounded over the edge of the fretboard a bit. Right here, there's like a strange streak in the wood. Maybe that could have been sanded a little bit better. But overall, I would say this example is much better than that other one we were looking at. I mean, if you really want to get in their face, yeah, the binding got a little bit of the green on it. There is a little bit of finish missing along the edge of the neck right here too, where it looks pale, or maybe there was some glue seep out. I personally feel the nut could have been shaped a little bit better. It's just so blocky over here and stands up really tall. You could finely sand those edges if you wanted to. Typical Gibson USA stuff in my experience. So about 1.7 inches at the nut, 2.09 at the 12, 0.87 first fret neck depth, increasing to 0.98 at the 12, adorned with a 12-inch fretboard radius, and a 24 3/4-inch scale. Here's a look at that neck profile at the 1st fret and the 12th fret. It's a nice rounded C shape. Gibson USA's 50s neck is not super big baseball bat. It's just nice and rounded. If you want ultra thick beefy necks, you got to go to the custom shop. I know I bring it up every single episode, but so many people think that, oh yeah, I love the Gibson USA 50s neck, let's buy an R7. And then they go, oh, that's different. Face of the headstock, nothing too crazy over here. Just your regular Gibson mother of pearl logo, Les Paul model silkscreen. You've got your Clusen style tuners. A difference between like a custom shop Clusen that's trying to be a historic reissue is this utilizes a modern day Clusen that has the washer and bushing system going on, whereas a vintage one would be a push-in bushing, which gives you a slightly lesser footprint. If you want that, that's when you go for the 2000s era Les Paul standards. They do sell conversion kits as well, however, you'll always have the washer mark from those being on here. But our truss rod's looking great, that's a fantastic route. And the stock cover reads standard and is 2-ply, black and white. Now that we've got the strings reinstalled, I wanted to do a route test because I've even had other people messaging me about their Les Paul Deluxe being over-routed. This example, it's not too bad. There is a very small gap here. Like, could it be tighter? Yes, but I think that's acceptable. The bridge pickup route is maybe just a little bit more so. Like, you can see the pickup wheel wiggle back and forth. Maybe that could be tightened up a little bit. But I'd say the neck pickup's perfect. I would love to see Gibson work on that because it's one of those things where once it catches your eye, you always notice that there's a small gap there. And also, sometimes people like to rest their hands here or there, and having play there is not always nice. Now moving on to the back, this lighting situation really lets you appreciate it. Sometimes it looks light, sometimes it's dark. And it's going to vary example to example. Sometimes they shoot them super heavy, other times a bit lighter. But speaking of routes, this isn't super uncommon to see either. You see where, yeah, maybe just a little bit too far in there. But they still need some room. Having it super form fit, sometimes the plastics will shrink or expand. So they need a little bit of play. But that one, I think, maybe a bit too much. But popping this black back cover off, we can see all of our controls. Just regular Gibson branded pots in here. Orange drop capacitors. They've got a few frizzlies over here on the edge, but overall, fairly clean route. Utilizing a plastic output jack plate, regular large style strap buttons in our usual locations. When going to install the back plate again, I had noticed it was lifting up right here. So looking over here, it doesn't look like the route got fully done. Or maybe there's some buffing compound or something stuck there. It feels like wood though, like they just needed to route it out a little bit more. So if you buy this guitar from me on my website and you notice that it's sticking up just a little bit more, there actually is a reason. It's not because there's a wire under there. Even I had to check that it wasn't the three-way switch. This model does feature thin binding in the cutaway. So if you're looking at yours and you're thinking, oh, like over on the neck, oh man, they didn't fully stain that. That's just the maple top exposed. In the Les Paul world, that's actually seen as a premium feature, believe it or not, because that's how they did it in the 50s. I'm all for calling out defects, but sometimes there's some history behind why they do things in a certain way. But here's the backside of our Clusen tuners. They read Gibson Deluxe. They are single ring, double lined Clusens currently. Now checking out our serial number, looks like 183rd day of 2025. Initial batch production number 283, made in USA. So overall, QC analysis, I'd say par for the course. There's a few small things we found, but nothing that I'm really upset about. Outside of maybe the backplate thing. And as far as the weight on this particular one, not too bad, 9 pounds, 5 ounces. However, keep in mind, these can range anywhere from the mid-8s all the way to the low 11s. When it comes to the .com exclusives, if you are sensitive to that, that's when I suggest calling up the Gibson Garage, because those are the only two places you can get these colors. At this point in time anyway. So let's go ahead, plug this one in, and hear how it sounds. The reason why that Noel Gallagher is on my mind is I actually recorded that one the day before playing this. They're the same pickups, but they sound so different. This is a really warm, round-sounding bridge pickup. I'd make the argument the neck is almost a bit too deep in this guitar. I'll just lower that neck pickup to see if that would help. Seems to have helped a little bit in that aspect. So there we are, British Racing Green, documented to its full extent. My thoughts as far as the color scheme? Yeah, this is a gorgeous guitar. If I was looking for a daily player and I was looking through all the options that are currently available and I wanted a plain top or a metallic top, no brainer for me. I'd be choosing one of these. However, I just wasn't really digging this neck P90. Sometimes I love them, other times not so much. Maybe this one just needs some more adjustment. On this one, it was all about the bridge pickup, which is a rare occasion for me. Out here filming the B-roll, I noticed something else I never saw before. The cream plastics don't match in the slightest. Like our pickup covers, they're like a key lime pie color, and then you got a more boisterous cream, and then just way too pink up there, and then you got your yellow switch tip. Never noticed that until this lighting. Ultimately though, I think I might be interested in checking out one of the humbucker equipped versions of one of these. So if you're interested in doing a new guitar day on any of the new British Racing Greens, feel free to reach out. We can make it happen. Just because we've documented the P90 doesn't mean we don't need to do the others. But if you're interested in being the next owner of this one, you can find it for sale on my website, troglysguitarshow.com. Otherwise, I hope this video helped you make an informed decision whether one of these is right for you or not. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow on the next one. Take care.